And showtime! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the ChannelPro 5-Minute Roundup. Look at news, trends, and tips for the SMB channel in 5 minutes or thereabouts. My name is Rich Freeman. I am executive editor of the ChannelPro Network, also a host of this program. I am joined this week, as I am every week, by your other host, Eric Simpson, a business transformation and improvement advisor to MSPs and other IT providers. Eric, how you doing?
Doing great, Rich. It's a little cool this week here in SoCal, mid 60s. So it's a little brisk outside. No sun, overcast. I hear we're going to get some rain Monday. So, a little bit closer to what you might be experiencing up there on a typical day.
I think we stole your weather here in Seattle. Actually, the weather today is very similar to what you described, but I was just reading yesterday. Yesterday was the seventh consecutive day of temperatures 70 or above in Seattle, and that has never happened in the month of April here before in
Wow.
recorded meteorological history. 7 consecutive days in that temperature range in Seattle. So
Oh,
thank you for loaning us some of your Southern California weather. I'm sure you're going to get it back any moment now.
please enjoy.
Well, let's dive into our top story this week. It comes to us from Sophos. It concerns a new firewall that they've introduced this week. And, ordinarily, a new firewall, maybe that's not enormous news in the industry. But, the folks at Sophos said this new product is the single most significant hardware upgrade in the history of Sophos. And so let's talk just a little bit about why that is. Um, uh, the main reason they say that is because included within this device is what I'm going to call a coprocessor, a second processor essentially, it's called the Extreme Flow processor. It allows them to offload certain processing tasks from the core CPU. Why is that important? Well, as we all know, increasingly, internet traffic is being encrypted, and that includes malicious internet traffic. And in fact, earlier this week, Sophos published some research that said that nearly 46% of malware detected by Sophos between January and March of this year used transport layer security, TLS, to hide the malware. Just a year earlier, beginning of 2020, that figure stood at 23%. It's doubled in a year. Close to half of the malware out there on the internet is encrypted now. So you really need a firewall that's capable of decrypting that traffic and inspecting it. And there are plenty of firewalls out there that can do that. But in a lot of cases, people who are watching or listening to this right now know that the overhead, the performance hit, if you utilize that feature, is enormous. And in fact, there are tons of people out there right now who have firewalls capable of inspecting TLS traffic who have disabled that feature because it just makes the network unusable. Huge problem and a growing problem. The addition of this second processor, this coprocessor in the XGS series Sophos firewalls, allows them to offload some tasks from the core CPU, which allows the core CPU to perform this TLS inspection much more rapidly. And Sophos says that, in fact, this product can inspect TLS traffic up to 5 times faster than competing products. So a significant performance gain. Doesn't tell you. You have to, I'm sure, kind of see it in under production conditions to really know how fast it is. But they really believe that this is going to enable a much larger number of customers to actually utilize the TLS functionality in their firewall. The other thing that's important, though, that's important, but the main reason Sophos says this is the most significant hardware upgrade they've ever done is because this TLS task we're talking about here isn't the only thing that coprocessor can do. It is programmable, and it can be utilized in other ways. And we can't really get into the details. There are going to be announcements from Sophos in the months and years ahead, but they have a grand vision, basically, for how they are going to utilize this coprocessor to do a wide range of other things. So this I mentioned that the processor is called an Extreme Flow processor. About a year ago, Sophos introduced their all-new Extreme architecture, which is really like the foundation for a whole new vision that you're going to start seeing rolling out over the course of this year and beyond. So an interesting milestone for Sophos this week.
Yeah, nobody ever got fired for adding more processing power, right, Rich? So I think it's and yes, I completely expect the forthcoming announcements of all the new features and benefits that will now become available because you basically upped your processing power with this separate CPU for all intents and purposes. I mean, I just can't imagine, there being a limit to all of the other things that Sophos can now, you know, extend their lead forward against their competitors because they've got a whole chip now that they can utilize to deliver all kinds of additional security features and other things. So really, really interesting. And just thinking to myself, well, wow, nobody else thought of that first. Drop another processor in there and then do all kinds of, you know, cool new things, especially speed enhancements and things like that. And I know from personal experience turning on that deep inspection of TLS, myself, like you said, Rich, I turned that off. It's like, man, it's like, my internet just crawling now because the inspection of all of this takes so much CPU and electricity and heat and all these other things too. So it'd be interesting to like you say to see what new announcements come because they've got the advantage now with that additional processor.
And I can't say too much more than this, but I believe the first sort of follow up announcement, the first announcement that will utilize this new processor is weeks away at this point. So it will not be that long before, in a future episode of the 5 Minute Roundup, I think we're talking about the next step in the evolution of this extreme flow processor. Well, you know what? You up the processing speed of a piece of hardware, and you make for happier customers and customer experience. Eric, that is the core, the essence of your tip of the week.
That's right, Rich. CX, two letters that represent customer experience. So it is time to focus on customer experience and past time to focus on customer experience and up the ante and create distinction and differentiation between you and your competitors. And customer experience is exactly what it sounds like. What kind of an experience are we delivering to our clients? And clients will pay more for a better experience. I mean, fine dining, Rich, we will pay extra to have that fine dining experience. We'll pay extra for that luxury automobile. We'll pay extra for that luxury vacation, right? Because of the experience that's provided. And up till now, there haven't been a lot of really good solutions for MSPs and channel pros to measure customer experience. Certainly not built into any of our typical platforms that we think of as an MSP or a channel pro, not our PSA solutions or RMM solutions. So I wanted to take a moment and talk about maybe a couple of vendors that are doing this and are building into their products or purpose-built solutions to help you measure customer satisfaction and improve customer satisfaction by measuring the CX. And Smileback has been around a little while. I know a lot of channel pros are using Smileback. I was introduced to SimpleSat today, speaking with a partner on a coaching call today. They're looking at SimpleSat. I know that Inverosoft has also included a CX component into their products and services. So I think we're, in the early stages of adopting this globally, but I think the channel pros that are taking advantage of this and identifying this as a value add and a core component that defines them against their competitors will have an advantage over them and are focusing on that from a customer experience first perspective. Really will allow them to maybe even deliver more white glove service, better experience, and even raise their rates for the clients that want that top level experience.
And the other thing, the flip side of the customer experience story is, we all have in certain ways been spoiled by certain online experiences that we're used to from our life as consumers. I mean, the bar in terms, the expectations around customer experience are higher than they used to be. And if you disappoint those expectations, you can lose customers too. So, I mean, of the three products you mentioned, the one that I know most about, and I'm not, thoroughly familiar with it, but I'm somewhat familiar with Smileback. And really, what that's doing is just, after a ticket gets closed, for example, it goes out automatically and asks the customer, "How did that go? How do you rate that experience?" And obviously, that allows you to monitor how happy your customers are with the experience that you deliver. The other thing, of course, it enables you to do is know very, very quickly if you've got an unhappy customer, and then you can kind of step right in and find out what went wrong, and let the customer know that you actually care, that they're unhappy, et cetera. So yeah, customer experience is a very important thing for people in the IT business or any other business these days, I think, especially to be keeping a close eye on.
Right. And you bring up an important point, Rich. I mean, a lot of times, we find out that a customer or a client is dissatisfied when they're asking for their passwords and things like that. When you're like, uh-oh, uh, what's going on, right? They're looking to make a move. So the sooner that we get that information, that they are dissatisfied, the sooner we can take steps to correct that. And I think, clients appreciate that, that, hey, you have responded to my feedback. And a lot of us aren't asking for that feedback, even from a strategic meeting perspective. We're not holding a lot of those QBRs as we should because it takes so much time. But I'll argue that just having those meetings and asking for their satisfaction can get us part way there, but we're not doing that enough. And I think having a platform that kind of makes it simple and automated to collect that kind of information and pop an alert when something is below a threshold that we've set, certainly will help us try to overcome dissatisfaction and hopefully extend the lifetime relationship of our clients.
Okay, well, important stuff, important topic for everybody out there in our audience. Leaves us with time for just one more story this week. And this is something that I came across online earlier this week. And based on the headline, I thought what I was reading about was a beer maker introducing a popsicle, like a beer popsicle. And with summer coming up, that actually sounded kind of interesting to me. It's similar to that. It's not quite exactly that. So, Natural Light beer, Natty Light, as it's known, is getting into the alcoholic popsicle business. But beer is not involved in this. And instead, they're introducing a product called Natterdays Frozen Icicles, which are basically popsicles with alcohol, 8% alcohol by volume. They come in strawberry lemonade and pineapple lemonade flavors. You buy them in 12 packs that have a mix of those flavors there. I was interested when frozen Natty Light. Actually, that sounded kind of interesting to me. I don't know if I need pineapple lemonade spiked popsicles, but summer treats. You have another option for summer treats, Eric.
A frozen fruity alcoholic delight.
And what word in that list there is not a good one, actually. So yeah, not bad. Well, folks, that is all the time we've got this week on the 5 Minute Roundup. We thank you so much for joining us. If you like the show, you want to check out some episodes that you missed in the past, a great thing for you to do, in addition to subscribing, of course, to the podcast, is to go to the ChannelPro Network channel on YouTube and become a subscriber. Make sure you click that little bell icon if you want to get notified when the new episodes go up on video. If you are a listener of the podcast, you're a listener on audio, hey, please rate the show, and only do that if it's going to be a 5-star rating. Otherwise, forget I asked you about that. You want to read more about these new XGS firewalls from Sophos, other things going on in the industry, get all sorts of great business growth advice for your company, go to channelpronetwork.com every day, because we have got awesome new content for you there every day. And to learn more about Eric and the work he does with his clients, please visit ericsimpson.com. That is ERICK Simpson.com. Once again, we thank you for joining us in the 5-Minute Roundup. We're going to be back again next week with another episode for you. Until then, folks, please enjoy the rest of your week. Eric and I are enjoying the rest of your week already.
Ready.